Hey girl, so I decided to create this video just for you because I know that I'm not the only one who might have encountered what happened to me, and I always feel like I just want to inspire and motivate other women out there who have experienced similar situations but are now walking on this journey with God or unsure about it, right? So I want to share about how my life changed and how I fully gave myself to God. I come from a background where, tarot reading and going to the Botanica, because I am Hispanic, is something that is normal and that, we pretty much think that it's okay and that there's nothing wrong with that. So during my pregnancy with my daughter, I already have two older children from the same dad. Me and my children's father separated, and during our initial separation, which was about 7, 8 years ago, we made the conscious decision that we were going to work things out, but in separate households, and well, not living together anymore. And while doing that, I found out that he got himself involved in another relationship. So as a woman, I'm thinking that he's busy working on himself to make our family work. But instead, he was just busy doing what, unfortunately, some men do who are not mature enough. So we ended up, that means that I call it quits. We were pretty much done with each other. Years later, I moved on with someone who I am currently with. But we were going through situations where I was so accustomed to toxicity. Um, and I was so accustomed that in order for someone to show me that they love me, I had to like either start an argument or start problems because, again, this is all I have known throughout the years. So with the person who I was with at that time, he is not that type of person. It don't matter if I would start an argument. He was not entertaining that with me. And I just felt like, hey, he doesn't care about me, because a person who cares will argue back and forth and will show me that they actually care. Unfortunately, those are things that go through our mind as women. And that was not it. So we ended up splitting up for like a few months. During that split, I ended up, my children's father used to send me text messages because I had never been the one to reach out to anyone about anything. So he will send messages, or he will say, he was coming to visit the children. And initially I didn't see nothing wrong with it because, we were already split up. And he had moved on. He ended up having a baby outside of the two children that we had. So technically that was just the end all be all. And as a woman, after a while, he was just talking a lot of things into my ear. Yes, I should have been strong, but I did what any other woman would do, which, at the end of the day, you start to feel like, hey, this person knows me already. I've been with him for 11 years prior. So it's like, as a woman, you just get accustomed to things. So I said, let me just do what I do. And I did what I did, and here came my last born, which is my 3-year-old daughter. Again, if you remember earlier in this video, I mentioned that he ended up having someone else who apparently the time when him and I slept together, he mentioned that he was not with this individual. And there was plenty of times when he was around me and she will call. There was no signs of anything even happening amongst them. But then again, little do I know, people like to portray or make things seem that it's not when it is. Um, but I didn't pay it no mind or whatever. And so I ended up pregnant with my daughter. And initially, as a woman, I just felt like I noticed certain things that he was doing and how he was maneuvering. And for me, I just felt like, okay, I was with him for 11 years and he cheated on me numerous occasions. And I just saw what he just did to someone else. And I was just like, wow, just imagine how many times he did that to me in the 11 years that we were together. It was just mind-boggling after a while. But unfortunately, at that point, I was pregnant with my daughter. So initially, when I found out that I was pregnant, I was thinking of doing an abortion. And then I ended up like, you know, like God, I had a dream with God, and God told me that that's not what He wanted me to do. That my daughter was a blessing. And again, during that time frame, I was also getting my tarot readings. So a child was never expected. That was like very surprising. So I ended up calling the person who used to read my cards and told her, hey, like, I'm pregnant. And then she's like, oh, okay, children are blessings and stuff like that. And I told her, yeah, but I'm pregnant from my children's father, someone who I left. And then all of a sudden now, what am I going to tell my parents? What am I going to tell my dad? What is my sister going to think of me? Because, I'm this such positive and motivational person that I always try to motivate and inspire, but I felt like I failed myself and I felt dumb. So that automatically just made me just start crying, like, oh my God, like I messed up. Like, how am I going to tell them all the things that I did? And now that I'm having a baby by the person who I left years ago, I'm gonna be honest with you, everyone wasn't shocked. And the lady that read my cards was like, listen, a child is a blessing, and just know that you're gonna be okay. And I said, okay, no worries. The first 5 months of my pregnancy, I was pretty much stressed, overwhelmed, dealing with him because he was just so worried about having to tell the mother of his son that he was having a baby by me. Oh, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna get back together? Like, what is the plan? And I told him there was never a plan in my mind of us getting back together. And quite honestly, seeing you move the way you did prior to me giving birth, like 2 weeks before I gave birth, he went away on vacation with his son's mom, thinking that that's cute. You don't do that when you know that there's someone who's about to give birth to your child. Because one thing about me, I'm very superstitious. I always grew up that way. So I never really shared when I was due. At the end of the day, if I'm correct, I remember I told him I was due the end of May, so May 31st. So technically he was away those days. So just think about it. If I would have went into labor, he was not going to be around to see the birth of his daughter. But again, who am I? I didn't judge him. So the time came, I gave birth to my daughter. It was 2 weeks later. He was in town, and during the time that I went into delivery of my daughter, he came to the hospital. He was with me the first day that I was technically admitted. Um, I don't know if the other person who he was with knew that his daughter was coming at the time. I don't know. And quite honestly, at that point, I really didn't care. I just felt like I needed support. And during my whole entire pregnancy, we had a lot of situations happening, a lot of lies being told. And me as a woman, I'm not going to say that I'm prideful, but I carry myself a certain way. So there's just certain things I'm not just going to entertain for the fun of it. So I told him, whatever lies you want to give, whatever lies you want to say, that's on you. That's not my problem. I don't need to lie to anybody because I'm currently not dealing with anyone, and I'm good. So whatever lies he said, whatever he mentioned, that was on him. So from there, during my delivery with my daughter, I had an encounter with God. And during my encounter with God, being in heaven, God told me I was not going to come back to this, to earth. And I just want to tell you something that earlier today when I was driving with my son came to my mind. And I remember that the importance of knowing your scriptures. And I don't know if you guys ever realized this, but during the moment that I had my daughter and I was up in heaven, I knew Matthew, I think is. I knew Matthew from the top of my head, and I would say it's Matthew 6, 9 through 14. So I know this actual scripture fully in Spanish. So during my time, up in heaven, I ended up, saying my scriptures and stuff like that. And I told God that when I come back to earth, I was actually going to listen to everything that He told me to do, and I will do it step by step. Um, so I did that. What led me to get deeper into my faith with God was that I after giving birth to my daughter, I continuously kept on doing, like, going back and getting tarot readings. And then, God has a way of revealing things to you about people. So you just have to be alert, pay attention, use your eyes, use your ears to hear. And the person who was reading my cards, mentioned something that, as if like she is God. And I'm like, there's only one God in this world, and it's not you. So I just, at one point I just brushed it off and I said, you know what? I just kept on having revelations from God, and He just kept on reminding me of, why in my mother's side of the family, everyone suffers from mental health. He started revealing things to me little by little that I had questions of. So I ended up asking my mom about answers that eventually she actually spoke up and told me things that she actually remembered, which put me stronger into this journey with God, that I said, I wouldn't go back to tarot reading whatsoever, because of, in my, let's say from my mom's side of the family, mental health has been something so extreme in my family for years. And also, seeing my mom, my aunts, people suffering with fear, people suffering with, stagnation, being stuck in the same situation that they have currently been in. And when I had my daughter, due to the fact I didn't have the support that I needed from my children's father, I felt like the history was somewhat repeating itself. So I felt that, as for me, I had to make a change, because if I didn't make a change, now I had two daughters and I have a son. I just don't want the history to keep repeating itself through my current, through my generation of family. So I said, you know what? All of that is going to stop. I had moments where I felt like, hey, I wanted to like go back and get my card readings, because growing up in a Hispanic family, we always want answers in advance. And, throughout this journey, God had told me that I need to take my time, and that I need to be patient. And if I continue to be patient, at the end of the day, there will be fruits that will come out of it. I will have favor in my life. And that is what has happened. I have went through moments of struggle. I have went through moments of questioning, like God Himself, like, if I'm such a great woman, why am I encountering these things? Why am I, meeting these type of people? Why am I associating myself with people who do not genuinely wish me well? And with me doing that, I actually realized that, listen, God has been with me the whole entire time. I have so many videos and so many things that I would love to speak about in due time, that will definitely motivate and inspire others out there to walk on this journey with God, because this journey with Him is something that you can't really talk about. You just have to go through it with Him and notice that God has been talking to you all along, but you haven't been listening to your intuition. You haven't been listening to Him. You haven't been listening to the Holy Spirit, guiding you and telling you don't do certain things, but you still do them anyways. I even got into the journey in one of my videos previously about, I don't drink anymore. It's about to be, it's already like almost, this is my second year now, that I actually stopped drinking. And again, I don't know what drinking was doing for me, because when you drink at the moment, you feel like your problems go away. But once you're sober again, your problems are still there. So again, what's the sense of drinking? Just to have a moment and have a good time, or be able to dance with your friends? Is it really worth it? It's really not. So one of my words of encouragement to any mother out there, who are currently scared, or, come from a background just like mine, that you grow up in a household where your parents, argue and bicker and fight. And, or if not, they go get their car reading, they come back home, they're yelling at their significant other, stating that they're cheating, they're doing things to them. Or you even go through a household where your parents are going through mental health, fear, stagnation, being surrounded by the wrong cliques. This video is just for you. And I just want to encourage you and tell you that this journey is not easy. It's not even easy for me. I still have sins, that I'm still cleansing out and working on. And I know that God is doing everything within me to clean me up, and to make my path straight. But I know that as long as I remain, consistent, as long as I am obedient, as long as I continue to walk on this path, because this path can go different ways. But I know that as long as I'm walking this journey with Him, there's nothing that can really happen to me, and there's nothing that could ever happen to you either. So I hope that this video inspire and motivate you to know that there's a lot of us out there who have encountered things that we're not too proud of. But guess what? Just remember to stay strong, stay focused, and even if it comes to a point where you have to stop associating yourself with certain people, just stop it, and you will see how much your life will drastically change. I hope you all have a beautiful and blessed and lovely day, and it was nice speaking to you all.